All right, I got some breaking news, and it is another military firing, of course, of a top military official. This one is a Space Force commander that was the commander of a base called Bidufik. I think I'm saying that right. It's a little weird. Space base in Greenland. So we're going to start with the reason for the firing and break that down. So just 12 hours ago at 2:52 p.m., 12, 13 hours ago. I'm recording this at around 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 11th. And this just came out April 10th, this story. And then we're going to read 12 hours later what happened as a result of this email. And I also want to briefly take a second at the end of the video to look at just how unprecedented these sorts of military firings are. Let's get into it. So, this is from military.com. Space Force commander in Greenland sent out email breaking with Vance after his visit. Just days after Vice President J.D. Vance's March visit to Bidufik Space Base in Greenland, the installation commander sent out an email to the base distancing it from Vance's criticism of Denmark and its oversight of the territory, military.com has learned. Colonel Susan Mayers, the commander of the 821st Space Base Group, who also oversees the Pentagon's northernmost military base, sent a March 31st message to all personnel at I think it's like Bidufik. Uh, it's a weird pronunciation. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it slightly or majorly. Seemingly aimed at generating unity among the airmen and guardians, as well as the Canadians, Danes, and Greenlanders who work there following Vance's appearance. She wrote that she spent the weekend thinking about Friday's visit, the actions taken, the words spoken, and how it must have affected each of you. I do not presume to understand current politics, but what I know is the concerns of the U.S. administration discussed by Vice President Vance on Friday are not reflective of Bidufik's space base. Myers wrote an email which was communicated to military.com. The email remarks confirmed as accurate to military.com by the Space Force, mark a rare pushback within the ranks of the Trump administration's repeated criticism and critiques of NATO members and longtime allies. A source familiar with the email said it was sent to all base personnel, including those from Denmark and Greenland, on the installation. Mayers became the commander of Bidufik's 821st Space Base Group in July, according to a Facebook post about the change of command ceremony. I commit that for as long as I am lucky enough to lead this base, all of our flags will fly proudly together, Mayer's email message to the base read. Vance traveled to Greenland and spoke at the base on March 28th. Yeah, this was the visit where where they were trying to shop around for Greenlanders who wanted to, like, invite J.D. Vance and his wife into their home, and they're like, nah, dog, that ain't happening. President Trump and Vance have repeatedly spoken about their desire for the U.S. to take control of Greenland, which is a territory of a fellow NATO member, Denmark. Both Trump and Vance have also said they support the Greenland's people's right to self-determination, though polling has suggested a vast majority of residents there do not want to become a part of the U.S. Trump has said in reference to the U.S. control of the Danish territory that it is a good possibility that we could do it without military force, but added, I don't take anything off the table. Vance, during his visit to Bidufik, criticized Denmark, claiming that incursions by China and Russia had put the territory at risk. You know, just like everything that this administration does, there's a diplomatic way to handle these sort of situations. Like, they're already in NATO by proxy of Denmark, and if you just said, hey, dog, we're a little bit concerned about the security here, do you mind if we put some extra troops or establish a new base here? And, just be an ally and not threaten to take it over, I'm sure that would go a long way. But these buffoons, these cavemen freaking peanut brains don't understand that. An opinion poll in January from Varian found that 85% of Greenlanders do not want to leave Denmark to join the U.S., which is funny because, like, I think it's like a majority want to leave Denmark, but it's even a bigger majority is like, well, if it's between Denmark or the U.S., we're going to stick with Denmark. So as a result of this email, I'm not going to read this whole thing. I don't think it really mentions much more of the video, or sorry, of the email. Yeah, no. Yeah, so that's the basis of it. It's basically like, hey, I don't agree with your views. The people here don't agree with your views that, like, you want to annex Greenland, essentially. And yeah, take that as you will. And then breaking news just a couple hours ago. This was reported so far by Newsweek and the New York Times. The U.S. military has announced it has removed the commander of its Pudufik base in Greenland. The removal of Colonel Susanna Meyers from her post was announced in a statement posted on X by Sean Parnell, the chief spokesman for the Pentagon. The statement said that that there has been a loss of confidence in her ability to lead. Funny, that's like pretty much the same thing they said about that NATO commander from last week that we covered. The post included a link to an article by military.com, a news organization which stated that Colonel Mayers, the commander of the 821st Space-Based Group, had sent an email to all staff distancing herself from Vice President J.D. Vance's visit to Greenland on March 28th and his criticism of Denmark. So, yeah, you can draw the connections on, well, yeah, this is obviously why she was fired. And a similar thing happened last week, I believe, with a NATO commander who was fired because there was a different rumors. We'll look at the official reason here in a second. There was like rumors that they didn't like want to hang up pictures or portraits of Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump in their office. And then there was something like, basically like, we only have to like wait this out for 4 years and we're all good. But let's look at the comparison here between Trump's firings, Biden's firings, and Obama's firings. I prompted ChatGPT, are you able to list the military firings so far under Trump's second term and answer how common these firings are and compare any to the Obama and Biden administrations if possible? Yes, I can break that down. Here's a current list of notable military firings during Donald Trump's second term, 2025, so far, followed by a comparison with past administrations. Military firings under Trump. Dude, I love AI so much how it just like throws emojis closest the closest to just a word and like a heading. Fire emoji talking about military firings. Oh my goodness. So we have Vice Admiral Shoshona Chatfield. This is the one that I was just talking about. U.S. military representative to NATO. Reason cited, refused to hang official portraits of Trump and the SecDef. Allegedly told staff we will wait them out for years. We seen an insubordination and lack of alignment with civilian leadership. I was hoping it would give the official reason from the Pentagon, but it was pretty much the exact same thing. We've lost confidence in their ability to lead. And then no further elaboration. Then you have General Timothy Hall. We covered this too, I believe, head of U.S. Cyber Command and NSA. Reason cited, no official reason given, but reported political tensions and loss of confidence. Speculation includes resistance to Trump's push for more aggressive cyber actions. Context, high profile and controversial due to Hall's role in overseeing elections and cybersecurity. And it says unnamed Greenland-based commander. That's Mayers that we just talked about. And then, how common are military firings? Military leadership changes aren't unusual in U.S. history, but firings for political reasons or public dissent are rare and often controversial. Most military transitions occur through normal rotations, promotions, or retirements. Routine personnel changes happen quietly. Firings due to loss of confidence, insubordination, or public disagreement make headlines and spark debate. Here's a little comparison between Trump and Obama and Biden. Trump's first term, Mark Esper, General Mattis, Admiral McRaven, and that was a retirement. I'm not sure about Mark Esper, but General Mattis was like half retirement, half dismissed, because he had said like, all right, I'm retiring at this date because of some shit in Syria. And then Trump's like, okay, cool. You can, it's like when you put in your 2 weeks notice and your employer's like, you can just leave now. So that one's a little half and half. Trump's second term, the three we just named. And then Biden, few direct firings, but resignations amid Afghanistan and withdrawal. Criticism, and I like how it gives context here. Clashes over Syria, loyalty, and political statements. That was Trump's first term. And then his second term, political alignment, public statements, and perceived insubordination. Biden, more policy-based and political purges. And then Obama, they have one listed, General Stanley McChrystal fired after Rolling Stone article quoted him mocking civilian leadership. I'm not sure if he was actually. I feel like I read he retired. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Um, Feel free to look that up and make your own conclusion. Summary takeaway: Trump's second term firings are unusually frequent and politically tinged this early into the term. Most are tied to perceived disloyalty or political misalignment, not battlefield failure or misconduct. Obama and Biden administrations rarely fired military officials unless there was serious public or operational failures. Compared to norms, Trump's recent firings are not typical and represent a more politicized use of command authority over the military. Let's be honest, this is authoritarian shit. I don't know what you want me to tell you. This is not completely normal. This is not fine. What happened to freedom of speech? Like, the dissent we're seeing here is like so mild and morally correct, actually, considering it's like, hey, I don't want to annex an ally. Like, are you really this thin-skinned? J.D. Vance, Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth? The answer is yes, you are, based on the firings we've seen already. And MAGA, are you celebrating this? If you're celebrating this, congratulations, you're celebrating the firing of someone who was basically like, yeah, I don't want to annex Greenland. That's not what we stand for. So yeah, go ahead, take whatever Trump talking point you want and run with it. I'm sure I'll see it in the comments like I always do. So they mentioned that there were direct firings under Biden, but it didn't elaborate. So I said, you mentioned there were direct fires from the Biden admin. Can you elaborate, please? During President Joe Biden's administration, there were no widely reported instances of senior military officials being directly fired. However, several actions and events related to military personnel and defense policy drew attention. Dismissal of military academy board members in September 2021. The Biden administration requested the resignation of 18 Trump-appointed members from advisory boards of the U.S. military academies. Those who declined were subsequently dismissed. This move was unprecedented and sparked legal and political debates over its legitimacy. I'm not counting this one because Trump also did the same thing. It wasn't mentioned in here. I don't know why, but he also fired a bunch of advisors. I feel like this is kind of normal, despite what ChatGPT says. But yeah, Trump did the same thing. One of the people he fired, they were replaced with like Charlie Kirk. Like, who are we kidding here? This will be a fun one. The Department of Defense mandated COVID-19 vaccinations for all service members, leading to the discharge of approximately 8,700 personnel who refused compliance. In 2025, the Pentagon invited these individuals to return to service, acknowledging the controversial nature of the initial mandate. So, in a broad spread, having vaccine mandates, I'm a little bit mixed on because, I would describe myself as pretty libertarian on a majority of issues when it comes to like social. But requiring COVID vaccine for the military seems like common sense, because if you know even a shred about the military, like once you go to boot camp or basic training or whatever, they put you through like a jab assembly line of various vaccines. So COVID-19, considering the threat and damage it did to the world, this seems like a logical thing. But, Republicans are anti-vax now and think COVID-19 vaccine did more damage than actual COVID-19. Then you had resignations over policy disagreements while not firings. I don't really care about resignations. So summary, while the Biden administration did not engage in direct firing of senior military officials, it undertook actions that led to significant personnel changes and prompted resignations over policy disagreements. These instances reflected the administration's approach to aligning military and defense personnel with its policy objectives, differing from more overt dismissals seen in other administrations. So you be the judge here, okay? There's a clear difference here on why Biden dismissed people versus why Trump dismissed people. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Keep above that authoritarian, whatever you want to call it, that they put off. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.